Welcome back, everybody. The second topic we're going to talk about today is sales tax issues for the food industry. So we'll jump right in. And the first thing I have to do, if you missed it last time, we've got to give the disclaimer, as always, that you need to know that what we say here today is not binding on the department. And the department can take a contrary position to what we're discussing here today at some time in the future. This is something from our legal department, and we have to do this before we speak to any groups. So there's our disclaimer for you. Okay, we're going to start out here again. We're talking about sales tax on food specifically in this segment. And I guess the question to start things with is food exempt from Iowa sales tax? Well, as with many things with Iowa sales tax, it depends. So sometimes food is taxable, sometimes it is not. The type of food purchased and other circumstances can determine if it's taxable or exempt. And we're going to shed a little bit of light on that for you here today. So hopefully you'll have a better understanding once we get finished. All right, just starting out real basic and in general terms here, what foods are exempt from tax? Most non-prepared food and groceries are tax exempt. So just think when you stop by the grocery store on the way home from work, most things that you buy at the grocery store that you're going to take home and use, prepare them at home, most of the time those are going to be non-taxable when you purchase them. And the reason for that, they do not fit into our taxable category of prepared food or candy or other items that we would tax. And I'll give you some examples here coming up. Also exempt from tax are eligible items that are purchased with food stamps or under the SNAP program. Those items are going to be tax exempt as well. So when you purchase them at the grocery store, no sales tax. Items that are taxable. Items that are taxable is going to include candy, certain beverages, and prepared foods or food served at restaurants. I've got some examples of these things coming up, but these are the three main areas that we do charge tax on. We do have administrative rules on this as well. Chapter 231 of our administrative rules are the rules for food specifically. 231.3 deals with food, 231.4 deals with candy sales, 231.5 deals with prepared foods. So if you need more information, you can always look there in the Iowa Administrative Code. Examples of some exempt food and beverages. And again, I don't want to read the whole list for you here. You can look through that yourself. What we're talking about here are things that you're going to purchase, you're going to take them home, and they require further preparation usually before you're going to have a meal. A couple of things that I did want to point out to you here would be bottled water. That's an example of something that is not taxable. As far as another beverage, over in the right-hand column, we have fruits, fruit products, fruit juices containing more than 50% fruit or vegetable juice. That's where we draw the line if there is a percentage of juice in there. If it's more than 50%, it's going to qualify for exemption. Less than 50%, it's going to be taxable. So again, this is just a laundry list of some examples of things that would be exempt from tax if you purchase them. No sales tax. Likewise, we also have some examples for you of some taxable food and beverages as well. Starting over in the left-hand column, alcoholic beverages are always going to be taxable. If you stop somewhere and you purchase, 12-pack of beer to take home with you, you're going to pay sales tax on it. Purchase a bottle of wine, you're going to pay sales tax on it. Also, if you stop off at maybe a restaurant and you order a drink and an alcoholic beverage, you're going to pay sales tax on that. Likewise, if you stop at a bar and you have a drink after you listen to Terry talk about sales tax for a couple hours, you will pay sales tax on that as well. One thing to remind you, though, from the last class, many times bars have tax included in the price. And so you may not notice that when you pay $5 for your beverage, but tax is included in the price. The bar should have a sign that says tax is included. Okay, a few other things that are taxable as well. Candy items are going to be taxable. We also mentioned the certain beverages, including those with 50% or less juice, fruit or vegetable juice. Those are going to be taxable. If it's more than 50%, they're going to qualify for exemption. Some other items on there would include gum. If you the purchase of chewing gum, that's going to be a taxable purchase. Vitamins and minerals are also going to be a taxable purchase. Even though today's presentation is mainly dealing with foods for human consumption, pet foods are also taxable. Some examples of taxable candy. Candy can include all of these things. So a couple of examples on here. The first one up in the upper left-hand corner, candy-coated items, candy products include preparations that are normally considered to be candy. Some other things that would qualify as taxable as well, unsweetened or sweetened baking chocolate. This could come in the form of bars, could come in the form of pieces, or potentially chocolate chips as well. So those are some examples that are considered to be candy under this rule. Now, before you're trying to read too much into these definitions and say, well, this is candy, this isn't candy, I would recommend that you look at our rule. As I said, Chapter 231.4 is the rule on taxable candy, and that describes what is included in the definition of candy for purposes of this rule. What is exempt because it is not candy? Unless taxable as prepared food. One thing here again, this is a topic that the different facts of the situation can make a difference as far as taxability is concerned. So that's why we have in parentheses there, unless taxable as prepared food. I'm going to talk about prepared food more here in just a little while, but these are some examples that are exempt because they are not considered to be candy. On the left-hand side, I just wanted to point out a couple of them. Breakfast cereals, for instance, if you're going to go buy some cereal at the store, that's not considered to be candy, so that's not going to be taxable. Following along that same column down at the bottom, ice cream, popsicles, or other frozen desserts, those are not considered candy, so you buy those, you take them home, and you make yourself an ice cream cone or have a bowl of ice cream. That's going to be exempt as well. On the right-hand side, some items that are not considered to be candy would include cakes and cookies. Those are baked goods. Those are not taxable either. They're not considered to be candy. Again, for more information on what is and is not candy, I'm just providing you examples here. That's something that you should check out the rule. That does provide some more information. Okay. Examples of taxable beverages. We already talked about the alcoholic beverages. Those are always going to be taxable. The other non-alcoholic beverages that contain natural or artificial sweeteners, this is where you get into your soft drinks and things. These are going to be taxable beverages if you're purchasing them. We also mentioned again the 50% juice content or less, that's taxable. Over 50% juice content is going to be exempt from tax. So those are just some more examples for you for taxable beverages. One more to point out to you, I said on a couple slides ago that bottled water is tax exempt. It is, but in this example, naturally or artificially sweetened bottled water, that's going to be taxable. Why is that? Because it does contain less than 50% juice products, so that's why it's tipped into the taxable category. Many times at the Department of Revenue, we do get questions on these types of things as to determine, what's taxable, what's not. And we'll get an email from someone or we'll get a phone call and they'll say, hey, do I have to pay tax on my bottled water? Well, as I said at the beginning, it depends. We need to know exactly what is in that product. If it's just plain old water, no tax. If it's got some type of sweetener added to it, maybe it has a little bit of peach flavoring in it, then that tips the scales to taxable. So again, it makes a difference. All the facts have to be known before a determination can be made whether something is taxable or not taxable. Again, some examples of some exempt beverages, and we're on the bottled water again. As long as it's unsweetened, that's going to be exempt from tax. Bottled tea and coffee, when unsweetened, going to be exempt from tax. Buy a gallon of milk, no tax on that. And again, I keep stressing the 50% cutoff on if it's got any type of juice content in it. If it's more than 50% exempt, less than 50%, it's taxable. Okay. I also mentioned the other item that we do tax as far as food is prepared food. Information on this is in the Administrative Rules, Chapter 231.5. This provides some specifics on sales tax for prepared food. What is prepared food? Well, our definition includes food sold in a heated state or heated by the seller, including food sold by a caterer. So I think, if we go out to dinner someplace and we want to stop and have a pizza, okay, you go to the pizza shop, they're going to make up the pizza, they're going to throw it in the oven, they're going to serve it to you piping hot, hopefully. That's an example of a prepared food. They're mixing all the ingredients, they're throwing that thing in the oven, they're bringing it out to you, it's hot, ready to go. That's prepared food, that is taxable. Prepared food also includes 2 or more food ingredients mixed or combined by the seller for sale as a single item. So again, another example of prepared food. The third one, food sold with eating utensils provided by the seller. This could include something like forks, knives, spoons, those types of things. Comes in a cup, has napkins and everything. That's a prepared food that's ready to eat. One thing to note on here, a plate does not include a container or packaging used to transport food. So that's just another thing that's specific in the rule. Again, 231.5 provides some more details on that. I've got more information on prepared foods for you. Types of businesses that usually sell prepared food could include all of these businesses. A restaurant, obviously, that one's pretty straightforward. A coffee shop, they could be selling prepared food. Many times they sell some things that are considered prepared, and so they do need to have charged sales tax. Cafeterias, convenience stores, snack shops, concession stands, mobile vendors. All of these are different types of businesses that could potentially sell some prepared food. So is it correct to say, well, all snack shops have to charge tax? They're selling prepared food? Could be. We need, again, all the facts. What are they selling? What are the facts of the situation? What are the details here? If they are selling what we consider to be prepared food, then they're going to have to charge tax. Some examples for you, and this one would probably be more for like a deli or something at a grocery store, but I'm going to read this so that everybody's on the same page with it. In this example, we've got a supermarket. They're a retailer. They're going to cut some Bibb and romaine lettuce. They're going to mix them together. They're going to add some salad dressing. They're going to put it in a container, and it's sold as a salad, which is ready to eat. Okay. Since everything is mixed together, it's got the salad dressing and everything in it, this is considered to be a taxable sale of prepared food. This is not something that you have to go home and you have to mix up the different items together and you have to add the salad dressings. This is something that is already done for you. They've done all the mixing. They've got everything in one container. This is ready. You can just eat it right away. That's an example of prepared food. In this example, we've got a supermarket. They slice a roll of cotto salami and a roll of regular salami. The retailer takes the sliced salami, they place it between 2 slices of bread. They add some condiments. They surround the meat, bread, and condiments with plastic, and they sell the result as a ready-to-eat sandwich. Again, this is considered to be prepared food. This is something that you might stop off maybe at lunchtime. You'll run in and grab a sandwich, and then you will have that to eat for lunch. It's already prepared. You don't have to do anything more with that. So it, again, considered to be taxable prepared food. Some items that are exempt because they're not considered to be prepared food. Okay, and this is, again, in the rule explained in 231.5 for prepared food. Any food that is only cut, repackaged, or pasteurized by the seller. That's not considered to be prepared food for purposes of our definition for Iowa sales tax on food. Also, eggs, fish, meat, poultry, foods containing these raw animal foods. These are things that require cooking, okay? These items need to be cooked as recommended by the US FDA in order to prevent foodborne illnesses. So these items are not considered to be prepared foods. Other things that are not considered to be prepared foods, and this is one we get questions on frequently. Bakery items sold by the seller that bake them. Okay, this can include any of the items on our list here: breads, cookies, cakes, rolls, muffins, these sort of things. If a bakery baked these items and then sells them to customers over the counter, it's not considered to be prepared food, not going to be taxable in this example. Also, not considered to be prepared food is food sold in an unheated state as a single item. These items come without eating utensils, and they are priced by weight or volume. An example of that, let's say that potentially you stop and you maybe get some potato salad from a deli, and you want to buy a pound of potato salad. So they scoop it into a big old container for you, they weigh it out, and they charge you so much for the pound. That's not considered to be prepared food. It's sold by weight or volume, and that disqualifies it from being prepared food. A few more examples for you, just so you can follow along with what I'm saying here. And again, I want to stress the facts of the situation can make a big determination, can make a big difference as far as what is taxable and what is not. We're going back to the supermarket again. They're cutting Bibb and romaine lettuce again. They're mixing them together and they're putting them in a bag for sale, okay? This is food that is only cut and repackaged. Since it's only cut and repackaged, it is not a sale of prepared food. Therefore, it's going to be exempt from tax. So do you see the difference? In the first example we gave for this lettuce, they mixed up all the lettuce, they repackaged it, they put the salad dressing in it so it's all ready to eat. They put it in a container so the person takes it home or takes it wherever and they can eat it right away. That was a taxable sale. This one is not, because it provides, there's more preparation work that's needed before you can eat it. This was only cut and repackaged. That puts it in the exempt category. Let's stick to that same supermarket again, and they are putting together, again, the cotto salami and the roll of regular salami. In this situation, the retailer places 10 slices of each in the same container and sells the combination as an Italian lunch meat variety pack. Again, this sale is a sale of food which is only cut and repackaged. All they did in this case was they sliced up the salami, they repackaged it with some other items, and this one is going to be exempt from tax as well. It is not considered prepared food. Sales from a grocery store deli. Again, we've got a few more examples and some things here to share with you. The sales of prepared foods from a grocery store deli are generally subject to tax, okay? And we use the term generally because there can be facts of each situation that could change the answer. If several items are sold together as part of a meal and they are not separately itemized, the total amount charged for the meal is subject to sales tax. In this example, a meal might include a loose meat sandwich, maybe a bag of chips, soft drink, in a single combined price. In this situation, this is considered to be a taxable sale. It's considered to be a prepared food, essentially, is what we're talking about in this example. We're still sticking with the grocery store deli. In this situation, many delis take surplus food and they package it and place it in a cooler separate from the deli counter. Generally, this type of food is exempt, okay? Because the product is packaged as a single item, is sold without utensils, and it's in an unheated state, and it's priced by weight or volume. Examples of this could include some coleslaw, some baked beans, potato salad. Those are some examples of this particular situation. So in this one, it's not really intended to be prepared or anything. It's not prepared for somebody to eat right now. They're usually going to take it home. They're going to potentially heat it up or do something else with it. In this particular situation, since it is sold by weight or volume, it is not going to be taxable. These delis can also make up a meal that's prepared and it's stored in a cooler, and that could be subject to tax. These are not priced by weight or volume. This is a price that just is an all-inclusive price, so to speak. An example could be a meatloaf sandwich or a Chinese meal. This is something, though maybe it's not heated, it is going to be taxable in this particular situation. So again, the slightest little change in the facts can make a difference as far as taxability is concerned. If you were at the presentation a little earlier for the cosmetologist, we talked about tips and gratuities, and this would apply to a restaurant. If there is a tip and it is a mandatory tip, okay, if this is something that a lot of times restaurants, if they have large parties, they automatically add their gratuity onto the price of the meal. If it's a required charge, it's included in the charge for the meal, it's going to be subject to sales tax the same as the meal is, okay? If it's a voluntary tip, you're going to leave a tip on the table for your server, that's something that is not going to be subject to sales tax. So when it comes to tips, mandatory, included, you automatically add it to the bill, that's taxable. If it's something that the customer leaves on their own free will, that's going to be exempt from tax. Give you the little commercial again in case you missed it from the last presentation. As far as our updates on our website, you can subscribe to email updates. This is something that is free of charge. You can click on the appropriate link on our homepage, which is tax.iowa.gov. We've got a variety of different topics for that. Subscribe to as many of them as you'd like. If it's information that you don't need, I usually just delete them. It's a good way of staying in touch with the department. We can get a lot of information out in a short period of time. If there's something going on, if there's some change or some issues that come up, we can get that information out quickly. So this is it's a good way of staying in touch with the department. As with not just this topic, but any other topics related to Iowa tax, you can contact us if you do have questions. Our toll-free number is listed there. That is between 8 and 4:15, Monday through Friday. You can also email the department as well if you have a question, and we'll do our best to provide some guidance for you. It's a good way to get in contact with the department. Again, repeating what I said a little earlier from the cosmetology presentation, the Department of Revenue is on social media. We are out there on Twitter. We have 3 different accounts. We are also on Facebook. So please, it's another way to stay in touch with the department. We do put information out there. It's a good option for staying in contact. Again, the purpose of this presentation is for general educational purposes only. If you are involved in an audit or protest, that's not something that I can get involved with here. You need to deal with your contact at the Department of Revenue as far as your audit or protest is concerned. Okay, so that's the information that I had for you. We've got some time to take some questions, and I see that we do have some questions here on the board, so we'll see what we can do with these. Andrea, you are a school committee and sell lemonade at a local fair. Do I need to pay sales tax on the proceeds which go to the school for activities? Okay, well, Andrea, I'm going to qualify this and say likely not. However, it depends on the facts of the situation. What I would direct you to on our publications, we do have a publication on our website that deals with nonprofit entities, and it deals with sales and the net proceeds and what you're doing with those net proceeds. If the net proceeds are going back to a school, chances are most likely it's going to be exempt from tax. So you would not have to collect tax in that situation. Again, with that qualifier that's just the general answer, that's the general rule. Be sure and check out that publication to make sure that that fits your situation. So good question. We've also got Andrea again here. Does a farmer's market vendor have to charge sales tax on items sold? Example, homegrown veggies or fruits or homemade pies or breads. Well, a farmer's market vendor is just like any other vendor, be it a grocery store, be it a deli or anything like that. If they sell taxable goods, then the farmer's market vendor needs to have a sales tax and charge the appropriate Iowa tax and local option tax, if any is due. In the examples that you gave, homegrown veggies or fruits, that's something that's not a prepared food or anything, that would be exempt from tax. Homemade pies and breads, that's also sounds to me like baked goods, and if it's sold by the seller that baked them, there is no sales tax on that. So probably I feel pretty safe in saying that the farmer's market vendor selling the items that you have mentioned would not be taxable. So that farmer's market vendor would not need a sales tax permit for those items. But if they sell some other items that are taxable items, they will need a sales tax permit for that. All righty, let's see here. In the exempt slide, candy is exempt if it contains flour, unless flour is added solely to make the item exempt. How would a retailer know flour was added so the item is exempt? That's a pretty good question, Lynn. I don't really have an answer for you for that. Basically, what I would do if I am a retailer and I am selling something, if it has flour on the label, the flour is going to make it an exempt item. You probably would not know if they just added the flour into it to exempt it. Personally, I don't know if we've ever had that issue come up. I don't know if anybody is going to change the recipe of their item that they're selling by adding flour just so the customer doesn't pay sales tax. All I can tell you is that's what the rule says. That's the information that you have. That's what the rule says. So I would just look at the label. If it contains flour, don't tax it. All righty. Hard-boiled eggs that are repackaged to be exempt. Wow. I don't know about hard-boiled eggs. I think we said earlier the one slide says that eggs are exempt from tax, but it didn't mention hard-boiled eggs. I'm going to have to take a pass on that one, Lynn. Shoot us an email, and we can look into that one further for you. A couple different things going on with that situation. I want to be sure before I tell you anything. Okay. Is a dessert purchased from a restaurant considered prepared food, listed separately on the bill, taxable or not taxable? Okay, this is from Brenda. I think Brenda, going to have to get some more information on that one as well. What are we talking about here for dessert? Is this an item that was a baked good potentially? That could have an effect on taxability as well. I guess I'm going to have to know before we could look into it. What did they purchase? Was it made there by the restaurant, or did they buy it someplace else? Those are factors that could enter into the taxability or non-taxability. So again, I'd recommend that you shoot us an email on that one, Brenda. Probably going to take a little bit more looking into it on our part. You can also look in the administrative rules as well. 231.5 is the proper chapter and rule on prepared foods. So that provide a little more guidance to you. Okay.
If you do have other questions around food taxes, we do have a little bit of time. Our schedule says we'll be starting construction at 1:45. So we do have about 10 minutes, 10, 12 minutes here that we could answer other questions related to food. While you are thinking of those questions, a couple reminders for you that this is a full series of webinars that we do throughout the year, and that we do have webinars in September, October, November, and December. The quick rundown of that schedule is in September, we'll be doing a webinar on using e-file and pay. It's looking at the department's online business tax filing software. In October, we'll be having the Iowa tax law legislative update. We'll look at changes that were enacted during the 2019 legislative session. In November, a hot topic for everyone is going to be the electronic submission of W-2s and 1099s, where we're going to be looking at, since that has come into play since I think 2016, all the different requirements for electronic submission of those documents. And then in December, Terry will wrap up the year with government and nonprofit sales tax issues. So if you have other questions around sales to nonprofits and sales by nonprofits, we'll be covering that in December. You do have to sign up for each of those individually. You can pick which ones you want to attend. You can sign up for them on iasourcing.com. Go to the resources, business webinars, and then Iowa tax webinars. You can sign up for each of those and also view all of the archived and recorded webinars. And that is actually where we keep all of the PowerPoints and presentations as well. So we appreciate you guys going out and signing up for those if they're of interest to you. So
looks like a couple more questions came in. We've got some time, so I'll go ahead and address them. This one, Diana is asking, why are pretzels taxable at the pretzel maker store in the mall? Well, I'm just speculating on this because I don't know for a fact the actual facts of this situation, but it seems to me if you are going to one of these pretzel maker types of stores, they are selling something that is a prepared food because, let's see here, number one on this list, I got the slide back up here. What is taxable as prepared food? Food sold in a heated state or heated by the seller, including food sold by a caterer. What I'm thinking of in this example, Diana, is these pretzels. They make them up, they're warm, they got the cheese and the different toppings that they're melted and gooey on them and stuff, and they're great. And they're gonna give you maybe some napkins and stuff to go with it. You're gonna eat it right there. I'm assuming, again, I'm assuming, so I am taking a little bit of a liberty here, that is the situation, and that would make it a prepared food. If you have some other details or something to share with that, you can sure provide it. But I'm thinking that based on the information that I have, that it is prepared food because it's going to be sold as in a heated state and probably comes with some utensils as well. So good questions. What do we have here, Lynn? If you chop a variety of lettuce, add cheese, meat, and make packets of dressing available, is this exempt as repackaged? Well, I think that's kind of like the example that we gave. I think that would fall under, where are we at here? Examples. It sounds like that's what we're doing here. We have, we've mixed up some things. Packets of dressing are available, but they're not included in it ready to eat right now. It seems to me, based on what you're telling me and looking at this particular slide here, I think it's very similar. So if that being the case, this would be a repackaged item, and this one would be exempt from tax based on the information you provided. So, okay. I think that wraps up our questions at this time. As Patrick said, I think we're starting back up at 1:45. So we'll probably go ahead and take about a 10-minute break so we can stretch our legs and stuff and get ready for the next session. Paul Breitbach is going to do that. We'll introduce him here in just a little while. And I want to thank you for attending today. It's always good to have you attend our webinars that we do.